The cup of tea and the British person. One of the most iconic love stories in history, second only to the Titanic. The British consume roughly 100 million cups of tea a day, or 36 billion per year. In the world, British people consume the third most tea per person, behind Ireland and Turkey. With over 1,500 varieties of tea, there's plenty of ways to enjoy your morning cuppa. But where did the British love for this leaf come from? To start off on our magical journey, I must first take you back in time 5,000 years ago to a place called China. According to a legend, in 2737 BC, Chinese Emperor Shennong was sitting beneath a tree while his servants served him boiled drinking water when some leaves from the tree blew into the water. This tree was the Camellia sinensis, and the resulting drink was what we now called tea. While the truth of this legend is unknown, tea drinking did certainly become established in China many centuries before it had even been heard of in the West. It was under the Tang dynasty that tea firmly became the national drink of China. The first known records of tea in Europe are dated back all the way to the late 16th century, to the Portuguese who were living as traders and missionaries in East Asia. But it was the Dutch who first established tea as their national drink, getting their first shipment in roughly 1606. Now, the British, being stiff upper lip and wary of this European nonsense, Brexit means Brexit apparently, were late to the party for selling tea. The first known case was roughly 60 years after the Dutch in 1657 in a London coffee house. It was known as the China drink called cha, by others known as tay, with an alias of tea. By 1659, coffee, chocolate, and a drink called tea were sold in every street in London. The tea was mainly consumed by the upper class and posh people, as it was roughly 6 to 10 times more expensive than coffee. One of the main factors contributing to the rise of popularity in tea in Britain was its use as a medicinal drink. In 1641, a Dutch physician claimed those who drink tea are exempt from all maladies and reach extreme old age. The first English shopkeeper to sell tea claimed, "Maketh the body active and lusty, help the headache, taketh away the difficulty of breathing, strengthen the memory, and dispelleth infection." While this was probably heavy propaganda to sell his new product called tea that no one had actually heard of, there was actually many papers published claiming to the health benefits of this tea, which contributed to the rise in the popularity in England as people wanted this new health drink. However, it was the marriage of Charles II to Catherine of Braganza in 1662 that would prove to be the turning point in the history of tea in Britain. She was a Portuguese princess and a tea addict, and it was a love for the drink that established tea as a fashionable beverage, first at court and then among the wealthy classes as a whole. So drinking tea now became a way to show off your wealth to others. You drank the tea and you laughed at the peasants. So drinking tea became associated with respectability upon the upper class. If you drank tea, you'd know that person's rich, they're showing off their wealth, they're a wealthy person. So as tea was gaining an increase in popularity, it was actually in the 18th century where they first introduced sugar to it. Sugar was already used to enhance the flavour of other foods among the upper class. It had a reputation as a very luxurious good. Because of the status implications of both tea and sugar, it made total sense to drink them together, and it tastes nice. Because the British East India Company had a monopoly over the tea industry in England, tea became so popular, more popular than coffee, chocolate, and alcohol. Tea was seen as inherently British, and its consumption was encouraged by the British government because of the revenue gained from taxing the tea. Drinking of tea was seen as patriotic, as supporting the government, supporting the king, supporting the queen, and it was shown as wealth. So combining the two together, it made everyone want to drink this tea. However, the taxation on the tea made it not as accessible to the working class. One unforeseen consequence of this taxation of tea was the growth of methods to avoid the taxation, such as smuggling the tea in. The British were extremely enthusiastic about this drink by this point and really wanted to drink it, so it was matched by the smugglers' enthusiasm to smuggle it in. By the late 18th century, they were importing tea roughly £7 million per year, compared to the actual legal limit of £5 million. Worse for the drinkers is that the smuggled tea was not quality controlled through customs. Leaves from other plants were added to the tea, and because the tea lost its colour during this, chemicals and other stuff were added to this tea. One most notably was sheep shit to keep the brown colour of the tea, make it actually look like tea. So you could have been drinking sheep shit tea at one point in Britain. By 1784, the government realised this wasn't working, and the new Prime Minister, William Pitt the Younger, slashed the tax from 119% to 12.5%, meaning tea virtually became accessible to all the classes overnight. Tea had become so widely available, those at the bottom of the social hierarchy were consuming it as the beverage of their choice. Fernand Braudel asked, is it true to say the new drink has replaced gin in England? England was a massive gin country, but tea overtook that. By the 19th century, tea had reached the working class, and it was soon considered an everyday necessity among poor labourers. Tea had become cheaper than beer at this point. Coffee was also the same price, but with coffee, it doesn't taste as good diluted, and that's how all the lower labourers with not much pay drank their tea, extremely diluted to save the money. Drinking a hot, sweet beverage to help the meals of the lower class go down a lot easier, and with England's rainy and cold climate, we get one summer day a year, the tea helped warm you up. In the 20th century, there was a revolution to tea as well. The tea bag. The tea bag added cheap and convenient way to drink your tea. Earlier, it was just a metal infuser put full of tea leaves you had to take out and clean every time, but the tea bag added cheap convenience. You just chuck it away after your tea was boiled. People loved it. People absolutely loved it. The Americans done it first, but obviously being British, it was late to take on, but when it was taken on, it increased the popularity of tea. The popularity of the cup of tea continues to this day in England. Around 80% of office workers say they find out most of their gossip drinking a cup of tea. So I don't see tea going anywhere anytime soon. It's extremely popular in Britain, and you just found out why. The wealthy love it. It showed you are rich. It had a lot of health benefits. People liked being healthy. And then the working class got it. As soon as they got it, it spread like wildfire. It was cheap. It was warm. It kept you warm. It helped down your ugly food. Tea was great. Everyone loved it. People still love it in England. And it replaced gin. It replaced England as a nation of gin drinkers to a nation of tea drinkers. So it must have been good. Yeah, so there you have it. Tea is an extremely popular drink, and that's why. I hope you all enjoyed your lesson for today. It's done. Class dismissed. Stay positive, everyone. Keep vibing. I'll see you all next time. Peace. They won't know it's rum, will they? That's bloody good tea.